All right. Well, welcome everyone. I'm going to hand the phone over to Andrea. We'll get this call started.
Well, happy Tuesday to everyone. This is Andrea in Michigan. I host the call for Dr. Kurt Fisnick each week. Dr. Kurt is a 30-year licensed chiropractor who has been promoting natural solutions and non-toxic solutions for many years to people. And so I think you're going to enjoy this call. Today we're going to talk about the biggest organ of your body, the skin. And Doc is going to bring us some really interesting information about the skin, the value of keeping your skin healthy, and possibly even, signs and symptoms on your skin that could help you determine some health conditions that you have in your body. So we welcome you to the call. Dr. Kurt, go ahead and take over.
Well, thanks, Andrea. I've been doing this. December 1987 is when I got started with natural health, and
that's awesome.
Yeah, I've been doing it a while.
Yes, and you're very knowledgeable.
Been doing it a while. I was 25 years old when I graduated from chiropractic college, and really kind of wet behind the ears, but I really wanted to learn, and here it is. I'm still 32 years later. I'm still keeping up with the latest information. Isn't that cool?
It is, and I really appreciate that about you, that you're not just sitting back and, maintaining just the same old information that you had 25 years ago, but you're actually actively reviewing all kinds of new information to bring to the world. It's great.
Well, thank you. Each week we try and figure out what to talk about, and I know Andrea called me yesterday and she said, well, what are we going to talk about tomorrow? What are we going to talk about? And I told her, I said, I don't know yet. I said, it really depends on what people want to hear. And so how do I determine that? I go back into the computer, I go on Facebook, I go on social media, and I try and find out, what are people questioning? What are they talking about? What's the interest? And so yesterday I was looking, and it seems like a lot of people have questions about skin. And Andrea, you can just imagine do you think they're really asking because they want to have healthy skin, or do you think they're asking because they just want to look in the mirror and see a beautiful face?
Well, I think most people just want to look in the mirror and have good skin.
Yeah, right. They just want to have a good appearance. They want skin that looks healthy, but they don't really care what it's like on the inside. And I think the cosmetic industry, they take advantage of people because they know that's what most people are looking at.
Right.
I remember a number of years ago I went to a presentation in Minneapolis, and it was on skincare. And this company was and I won't mention their name, but they were doing a presentation on a skincare product, actually a kind of a line of skincare products. And I looked at the ingredients and I said, wait. I said, this is all synthetic. This is proven to be bad for you. And I said, you're doctors, and you're promoting this unhealthy stuff. Mm-hmm. And Andrea, I was just appalled at their answer. They said, well, a survey of thousands of women revealed that if a woman could look 10 years younger or have smarter children, a majority of the women chose the younger looking skin if they had that choice to make.
Wow.
Right? And I looked at the doctors doing the presentation. I said, are you kidding me? I said, so you'll sell anything to anybody because they'll buy it. Mm-hmm. And because they had doctors, in front of their name, you know the whole thing. They did a study over in Germany 50 years ago, and they found that if a doctor told somebody to go out and do something, guess what people did?
They did it.
They did it, yeah. And so I looked at that, and it kind of changed a lot of the way that I look at things, because I just realized that, man, there's some things out there. But, as we look at skin, a lot of people think that it's just a protective covering, right? And it is, along with the hair and the fingernails and things like that. Skin is important. It's like a covering. It's like a wrap. But the one thing that I don't think a lot of people realize is that on the surface of your skin, well, let me ask you it this way, Andrea. Would you think that the skin needs to be alkaline or acidic?
Well, I pretty much know it needs to be a little acidic.
Yeah. And why is that?
To fight off bacteria.
It fights off bacteria. And the other thing that it does is it creates a pH balance. Just like a battery, you got a positive pole and you got a negative pole in the battery. And inside that battery, the positive needs to equal the negative. Well, on your skin, it creates a pH balance with the body on the inside. According to Dr. Otto Warburg way back in 1939, he got the Nobel Prize because he said that if your body was alkaline, you couldn't get sick. And so a lot of people have taken that science, a lot of companies have taken that science, and they've used it in the wrong way, because then they try and convince people that everything needs to be alkaline, and that's not true, right? We need to have that balance.
Oh, you have to have acid on the inside.
You have to have alkaline on the inside of the cells, but on the outside of the cells, you want to have acidic. So that's why on the outside of your skin you have acidic. And so what does it do is that there's healthy bacteria that actually live on the outside of your skin. And so with all of these soaps that have and these cleansers that have triclosan in them, triclosan is the ingredient that's been used in these antibacterial soaps for how many decades now. And it kills off the healthy bacteria on the outside of your skin. So if you don't have the healthy protective barrier on the outside, guess what it allows to happen?
Yeah, permeation of bad bacteria.
That's right. And so your skin protects germs and bacteria from entering the body and damaging your internal organs. Skin supports the life of all the other body parts, and it really plays an important role in helping to maintain the immune system as well. And so the other things that skin does is that it acts like a kind of a register or a heater, a cooling system. It regulates the body temperature through the sweat glands. When you get overheated, your sweat glands give off moisture. When your body cools off, it evaporates, and the body part the skin is responsible for the sense of touch. The skin works with the nervous system to alert the body of certain types of dangers like pressure, pain, heat, cold, and all these other things. But the skin, when it's exposed to different kinds of radiation, like UV radiation, it can be damaging for the skin, and the skin protects itself by manufacturing vitamin D, and you need that for healthy skin. Vitamin D also promotes the body's absorption of calcium, which helps with bones and teeth and a host of other things. Back when I was in college, we learned that vitamin D was, really at that time, we just thought it for bones. But now we're finding it's so important for the health of the colon and all that other things. But when you take a look at the skin, and I'm not going to go through this really in depth with everybody, but there's 3 layers. There's the epidermis, there's the dermis, and the subcutaneous layer. So the epidermis is that thin outer layer, and it consists of a lot of dead cells that are flaking away, they're washing off, and they're being replaced by new cells, which are manufactured in the lower portion of the epidermis, and that moves from the inside to the outside. And so sometimes these cells can get hard and they can die, And this is just a normal part of the cell reproduction. And then the epidermis also has the melanocytes, the melanin, the pigment that gives the skin its color. And so it's important that way. And the middle layer of the skin contains the blood vessels, the dermis, it contains the blood vessels, the nerves, the hair follicles, the sweat glands, the oil gland. And it's actually 90% of your skin's thickness. And it's made up of collagen and elastin fibers. And that's what gives the skin its strength and its elasticity. And one of the things that happens is that as you age, this collagen layer gets thin. And so I looked up a couple things here this morning as I was preparing for the call, and so I wanted to share with you, what exactly is collagen? So collagen is a protein, which is long chains of amino acids that are connected together. And as the collagen breaks down, as this stuff breaks down, it breaks down into short segments of amino acids. And when you get short segments of amino acids, these are called peptides. And so what they've found, what science has found, that certain peptides are great for anti-aging of the skin. Isn't that interesting, Andrea? So when collagen breaks down, collagen is a protein, when it breaks down, it forms peptides, but when you add peptides, it makes the skin healthier.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah. And so when we look at certain skincare products like the Transfusium, you see a whole list of peptides like the pentapeptide, the palmitoyl tripeptide, the acetohexapeptide, all these different things. And because they found that what it does is you can put it topically and it soaks through the skin and it helps rebuild that collagen. So not only does it help you to have the appearance of healthy skin, but it actually makes the skin healthier.
That's great.
Yeah, it really is. And then you look at methylation, right? We talked about methylation a couple months ago now. Remember when we had that talk about methylation?
Yeah, really deep conversation.
Yeah, and so methylation has had its fair share of attention in the last couple of years, and a lot of people think, well, why should I care about methylation? And so because it's just a simple biological process where they're moving one carbon and 3 hydrogen atoms around, and it gets transferred from here to there and here to there and back and forth. But when optimum methylation occurs, it's got a positive impact on your health. It affects the cardiovascular system, the neurological system, the reproductive system, detox, vision, neurotransmitters and everything like that. But our body is really, it's a real complex type of machine, if you want to look at it that way. And so we've got gears and switches going on and off all the time, and you got these gears turning, and so if methylation is not working properly, these gears and switches aren't going to be turning on and off, and the gears aren't going to be turning the way they're supposed to. Does that make sense?
Uh-huh.
So there's methylation and there's demethylation, and that's what allows the gears to turn, and it switches the biological switches on and off, and really what they're finding out is 60%, over half of people have improper methylation.
Wow.
So wouldn't it be important to find something? If skin is so important, wouldn't it be important to find something that would help improve the methylation of this organ?
Well, yes.
Yeah. So I was reading a study this morning by the Society of Cosmetic Scientists. This was a study that was printed last year, 2017. And so, I mean, this is new information, really. But what they found is that this extract from this type of clover called the daidzein, it's a type of clover, it produces something called equal, not equal, equal, E-Q-U-O-L. Have you heard of that one?
No, never have.
Yeah, so it's a um, extract that they found from this clover that what it does is it increases the telomere length of the cells in your skin.
Really?
Yeah, and we've heard about telomeres, right? What product do we have that supports healthy telomeres?
TSX.
TSX, exactly. And so back in the 2009 Nobel Prize, they were given this Nobel Prize because they found that, some of this information about increasing the length of telomeres. So here now, a piece of science from last year tells us that you can improve the length of the telomeres in your skin with a topical application of this extract from clover.
Wow, that's amazing.
It is, right? And not only that, they found that it improves the methylation of
Hmm.
the cells of the skin,
Interesting.
right? So when we're talking about the fact that you have to have proper methylation and you want to have longer telomeres because longer telomeres means longer cell life, wouldn't it be important to have that? Guess what Tom added to Equal? Well, he didn't add it to it. It was in the original formulation. It's been in the product since the beginning.
How about that?
Right? So did he know about this science ahead of time? Or because, you weren't, Andrea, you weren't with us when Tom brought out the transfusium.
No, that was before I learned about Sisel.
Yeah, it was 4 years ago. 4 years ago, when we were sitting out at Mauer Mountain, the last part of July, first part of August, back 4 years ago, 2014. And I remember he gave me the first bottle. I was the first person to ever get a bottle of the product. And I mean, if you go on YouTube, you go on our YouTube channel, you can see what it did for me. But I didn't realize that the Equal was so important.
Right. They say transfusium is like a 30-day facelift in a bottle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty much works that way.
Yeah, and a lot of people they just look at the cosmetic part of it. They aren't looking at the fact that it's how important it is and how it protects you and things like that. So yeah, crazy. Guess what other product has Equal?
I don't have any clue. Maybe Vanquish?
No.
No.
Yeah. Guess one more time. I'll give you one more guess.
Rapid Repair.
No.
Night Cream.
Nope. Inner Chi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So here
That was my next guess.
That was your next guess. Yeah, sure it was. But it's so important because a lot of times I think that people think, well, it's just what you put on the outside, but it's important what you put on the inside as well.
Yeah, it is. So you provide those natural things your body needs.
Yeah. And so I look at people, I mean, nowadays it's really, kind of the hot trend of all the young, and well, not just young people. I've seen 60, 70-year-old people going out and getting all these crazy body piercings and things like that. And tattoos. And, I don't necessarily, I'm not going to say it's bad, but I'm just going to say that, sometimes you put a pierce in the wrong place and it can pierce some of these things that we were talking about, that if there's all these sensors in your body, wouldn't it make sense that you might accidentally pierce the wrong area, right?
Oh yeah, I recently worked as a technician in laser therapy for a non-smoking system. And actually, even on the ear, there are some pretty important energy points where people actually pierce right through them.
Yeah, right. And tattoos, it's a whole nother story with all that ink. I mean, it goes somewhere. I've always thought about I would never get a tattoo anyhow. I've had several friends that have bought me gift certificates for tattoos, and I've never gone and done it because I'm scared of needles. I'm scared of needles. But anyhow.
It hurts.
right? And my kids, all two of my boys have tattoos. The other one, he's probably more like me. But so we look at different vitamins and what vitamins are healthy. We've talked about folate in the past, the 5-methyltetrahydrofolate, which is the one that helps with methylation. Form of vitamin B9, and then we've talked about different things like that. But vitamin A, which is the fat-soluble vitamin, helps to maintain healthy, smooth skin, and riboflavin, which is a vitamin B1, it helps with skin disorders. Niacin, vitamin B3, we've heard about that one a lot.
Oh, yes, and what a great result that brings.
Right, with the H pill, right? And it helps with skin disorders, and one of the things that they're finding is that it really helps with protecting the skin, not just protecting the skin, but repairing the skin after sun damage. And there's a lot of studies that are going on down in Australia right now, because they found that, Australia, there's something wrong with the ozone layer above Australia. And so they do a lot of studies on skin down in Australia because of that.
Well, I am an expert on sunburn. Total expert. 60 plus years of getting sunburn. Being a redhead. And I can tell you I got sunburned a couple of times this summer. I didn't wear sunblock only maybe twice. In past years I've worn it a lot, but now that I understand how toxic it is, I won't wear it. But there were a couple of times this summer where I just was in a position where I didn't want to get burned. But other days, just working outside, a couple of times I got sunburned, and people would say to me, "Oh my gosh, you're so burnt," like my family members. And I'd go, "Really?" And I'd go look in the mirror and I'd go, "Yeah, well, it kind of looks like I am." But I didn't feel the pain like I normally would. And I didn't have the pain, any pain continuing. Like the next day, it was like I was completely healed. It was pretty amazing.
Yeah. You got to protect your skin. And like you said, do you want to use sunblocks? So many of the sunblocks now, they're saying that the ingredients are actually more toxic than getting the sunburn themselves. But
Yep.
So
but using that H pill with the niacin 3 in there has just dramatically changed my skin. I'm still amazed by it. Like I'll just, you end up rubbing your neck or, touching parts of your body, and you're like, what?
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah, one scientist I was talking to, he told me, he said, have you ever noticed that when people do get the flushing effect from the niacin, and he asked me this, he said, have you ever noticed that they get the flushing effect in the areas where they had previous sunburn?
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, and I've never gone out and really researched it, but for those of you listening to the call, listening to the recording, maybe think about that. Maybe ask people if they get the flushing effect from niacin. Just ask them, have you ever had sunburn in that area? And his reason that he pointed it out to me is, he said, because what's happening is that the niacin is actually repairing the damaged cells.
Yeah. Well, definitely opening up those little capillaries so blood can get in there and bring nutrients and healing, right?
That's right. So we start looking at different things like water intake. It's so important. They say the body is 55 to 75% water. And so we want to make sure and get plenty of water in our diet, things like that, to make sure that the skin can work properly. Because, your skin is really filtering a lot of things out as well, and filtering things in. And so, when you spill something like gasoline on your skin, it can actually, you can measure your urine in less than a half a minute.
Yes, wash that off ASAP.
Right, or don't get it on your skin, right?
Right.
And so because it can damage the skin. Again, it causes some problems with that whole methylation thing that we talked about, and it can trigger different kinds of problems to occur. And so one of the things that I wanted to talk about is, what do certain things, certain skin conditions, what do they mean? And so I looked this up this morning, and so eczema, right?
Mm-hmm.
What diseases would you link to eczema?
Well, from what I understand, it's when your microbiome in your intestines is not correctly balanced. And
Well,
so it's trying to dump toxins out through your skin.
yeah, it can actually, yeah, exactly. It can be linked to the gut, but what I mean is that when you have eczema, what diseases might you start thinking? Like if I saw you and you had eczema, what disease might I start talking to you about? And they say that eczema is related to depression and anxiety.
Well, that makes sense based on what we've recently learned about the biome, because that controls hormones. And so they say people who have an imbalance have more anxiety and more depression.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
it's all a sign.
Yeah. So you can take a look at it and start talking to people about that. If they see that they have eczema, maybe you can start talking about, certain things that can help with depression and anxiety. And psoriasis, what disease is associated with psoriasis?
I have no idea.
Heart disease.
Wow.
They say that that sufferers with psoriasis have a 58% more likely chance to have a major cardiac event and 43% more likely to have a stroke.
Wow.
And they're saying that's because it's an autoimmune disorder that causes pro-inflammatory markers to develop inside the arteries.
So we need an anti-inflammatory agent.
And guess what that is?
Fucoidan.
There you go. And then rosacea, right? Rosacea. Guess what disease is associated with rosacea?
Would it be diabetes?
No, Alzheimer's.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And it's a skin condition that's marked by redness and flushing and things like that. And it's linked to 28% more increased risk of dementia in women, according to a study, the Annals of Neurology. In 2016, the study came out.
Wow.
Right?
So, as a doctor, somebody coming into a clinic, a doctor could pretty much read skin conditions and determine ways to provide, a chiropractor doctor would provide natural ways to help negate that.
Yeah, or at least you could start looking for it and start doing some preventative type stuff and talking to them about it, right? And then they're finding that if you have a condition where there's like patches of skin where it's lost its color, like where there's white patches, right? They're saying that that's an autoimmune disorder that's linked to the thyroid. So I just thought that was kind of interesting. That was actually some information that I pulled up on Reader's Digest, for all places. Think about that, Reader's Digest.
Oh, they have some good stories.
Right? And they're owned by a drug company, so I mean that's kind of so. And then when you look at acne, acne is toxic buildup, leaky gut, bacterial imbalance, hormonal imbalance, things like that. A lot of people think that it's, because they have maybe they're not taking care of their skin and things like that. But really, it's something that tells you that your gut isn't working right. Wrinkles, dry skin, they're saying that it's nutritional deficiencies, maybe dehydration. And you're supposed to add like some healthy fats. And guess what product we have that has healthy fats?
Supra Omega Plus.
Supra Omega. And then, here there's this article is saying that rosacea is linked to the gut, the bacterial imbalance, conditions like Crohn's disease, celiac disease. What was that? And let me go back to the other article. And what did they say about rosacea? They said rosacea was linked to Alzheimer's. And here this article is saying that rosacea is linked to Crohn's disease, celiac, and the gut. So again, what's going to help you with that? Fiber and probiotics. Where do you get your probiotics and prebiotics?
Balance D.
Yep, from the Balance D, right?
Mm-hmm.
And hey, did you know it's actually not called Balance D?
No.
It's called Balanced, right? There is no other D in there. It's BALANCE and then D. So it's Balance D. I always called it Balanced D, right? I was just looking at it the other day and I saw that.
How about that?
You weren't as impressed as much as I was.
Well, I've been calling it Balance D, so.
Right? So anyhow, folks, it's the bottom of the hour. And, it always goes so fast. This call always goes so fast. There's so much information out there. And I just want to go over maybe some foods, because a lot of people, they tell me, well, yeah, you're pushing the products, but what about food? What about food? So if you give me just a minute to go over that, carrots, right? But don't eat too many or you'll have orange skin like our president. Apricots and other yellow and orange fruits because it helps with the melanin. I was just making that joke, Andrea, about.
Yeah, I know.
And then spinach is good for the skin, and other green leafy vegetables, tomatoes, blueberries, other kinds of berries, beans, peas, lentils, the fatty fish like salmon and mackerel, and nuts. And guess what food is considered to be some of the worst for your skin?
Well, there's a whole lot of food out there that's really bad, so I couldn't begin to tell you.
Well, they say that the worst food, this is come from Mayo Clinic, right? So this is off their website. And, and I don't agree with everything that they always say, but the thing about it is they're saying that research suggests that a diet high in processed and refined sugars and carbohydrates
Well, yeah.
actually is the most damaging for the skin.
Right. And we talked about sugar addiction last week.
Yeah, we sure did. And that's what they're talking about here. And so they go into, at the end of this, that, they go into that. So there you go, folks. I mean, I'll tell you, if you can keep your skin healthy, it's going to tell you about what's going on the inside. It gives you kind of a roadmap on different things like that. So, Andrea, I'm going to hand the call over to you, and I'm going to let you close out the call.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Kurt, for your time and effort once again to bring us valuable information about health. And we did mention some products on here, and anyone who's a new visitor who hasn't listened in before, we do represent a company that has been producing non-toxic, very effective natural products for 30 years. So they've been on the non-toxic bandwagon way before there was a bandwagon. And Doc Kurt, myself, and several other people, or the person who invited you to this call, or maybe you saw an announcement of this call on social media, get back with that person and let them know you want to listen again next Tuesday. Make sure you get connected. And then if you're interested in some really, really good products, ask to look at their website so that they can share with you the benefits that we've discovered through Sisel International. Have a great day. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.